This story has been whispered in shadows, passed from soldier to soldier like a curse. Official records deny it ever happened, but the men who were there remember every inch of it. The heat, the rocks, the blood, and the eyes. Inhuman eyes, red as fire. This is the story of the Kandahar giant, the horror buried in the mountains of Afghanistan and erased from history. In 2002, in the Kandahar region of Afghanistan, a U.S. Army squad vanished without a trace. These men were trained professionals, Green Berets, Special Forces operators. The desert swallowed them whole. No radio, no smoke, no signs of combat, just gone. The military sent another team to locate the missing unit. This second squad included a seasoned Special Operations Task Force with an 18B Special Forces Weapons Sergeant, an 18D Combat Medic, and a forward observer trained in recon and artillery support. These were not green recruits. These were men who had hunted Al-Qaeda in caves, who had survived ambushes and lived to tell the tale. But they weren't ready for what they were about to find. The squad hiked for hours before finding a cave entrance high on a rocky bluff. Around it, bones. Human bones. A shattered radio. Torn combat gear. The cave gaped like a wound in the earth. Then, one of the soldiers noticed something strange. The cave floor was littered with broken equipment. Helmets, packs, boots. All American. All fresh. And that's when it stepped out. He was at least 12 to 15 feet tall, red hair matted in dreadlocks, skin like dark leather. His face was grotesque, distorted, almost ancient. But it was his teeth, long and yellowed, that made the soldiers freeze. And the eyes, burning red, hateful, as if lit from within. He carried a massive spear in one hand. Before the team could react, the giant lunged forward and impaled one of the soldiers, killing him instantly. It was the 18B, the weapons sergeant. He never even fired. Panic erupted, but their training kicked in. The team opened fire, all of them unleashing full auto bursts from their M4s, a .50 caliber Barrett, and an M249 saw. For 30 full seconds, they pumped hundreds of rounds into the creature. The air was thick with gun smoke and the stench of blood. And then, the giant dropped to its knees, roared, and fell forward. The soldiers radioed for immediate extraction. A CH-47 Chinook helicopter arrived hours later, but not just for the men. They came for the body. With cranes and cargo nets, the U.S. military hoisted the massive corpse and flew it away to an unknown location. No base, no lab, just gone. The soldiers were flown to a secure location and ordered to sign NDAs. Threats were made. You never saw anything. You were never there. And just like that, it was erased. Years later, one soldier broke silence. He described the event in detail on a radio program. His voice trembled. He described the dead teammate, the blood, the size of the creature. The host pressed for details. The soldier described the giant smell, like old meat and rot. He said the hands of the giant were twice the size of a man's chest. He said the military knew. After that broadcast, the soldier disappeared from the public eye. Multiple sources, including contractors and intel analysts, confirmed that similar creatures have been found in remote caves throughout the Middle East. Giants with red hair and a hunger for flesh. Some say they were Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and humans. Others think these were remnants of a pre-human species, something ancient, something the earth forgot. Why was this story buried? Why did no one speak out? Some theorists believe the military stumbled onto something older than history itself, that the giant was part of a lost race destroyed by time, or by God, that it was the reason ancient texts speak of men of renown, giants who walked among mortals. And some say they're still out there, deep in the caves of Asia, under the ice in Antarctica, waiting, watching, hungry. So the next time you hear the wind howling through the mountains, the next time your radio goes silent in the hills of nowhere, remember what one soldier said. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something else. And we killed it. But not before it killed one of us. The Kandahar giant. The thing that shouldn't exist, but did. And maybe still does. Another story I thought I should mention is that of Lovelock Cave, a North American archaeological site. The cave is 150 feet tall and 35 feet wide, and one of the most important classic sites of the Great Basin. Inside, over 40 human skeletons were found, but some of which were abnormally large. In 1911, miners looking for bat guano stumbled across the mummified remains of men, ranging from 7 to 8 feet tall, which, for the ancient man, would have been a lot. A significant feature to note would also be the fact that a lot of the skeletons, they had red hair. Newspapers said it was a lost race of red-haired giants in Nevada. Unfortunately, a lot of the bones were lost to time, potential cover-up. But for a good few years, there were 4 massive skulls preserved and on display, but they were removed and ceremonially buried. There were also over 100,000 artifacts found at the site. Strange thing is that many of them, in fact, were huge. There were sandals found, like a 15-inch long shoe, size 25 in the UK. That would fit someone who's about 9 feet tall. Not only that, giant clothing. In fact, there were many other similar discoveries during the Wild West. All these stories tie in with a lot of biblical beliefs. It speaks of a race of giants that used to live on the earth. So when giant skeletons were found during the Wild West, to the people, it was confirming what the Bible said. And then there's the stories from the native Paiute people who've inhabited the Nevada desert for centuries. A woman named Sarah Winnemucca, who was a descendant of Chief Winnemucca, wrote a book in the 1800s telling how her people had fought a battle against these very tall people with red hair and who lived in Lovelock Cave, known as the Si-Te-Ka. But these red-haired giant people were cannibals and terrorized the Paiute. She doesn't describe this event as lore or legend, but as something that actually happened. In her book, she wrote about a great battle the Paiute people had fought against the giant race. They drove them into the cave and lit the entrance on fire, killing the cannibalistic group. To back up this story, burn marks were found around the entrance of the cave. So, what do you think? Giants, ancient battles, mummified skeletons, secret cover-ups. You won't find any of this in the history books. Are there still red-haired giants lurking in the shadows of the mountain caves? Are they what the Bible called the Nephilim? How many other stories of soldiers having these encounters have been covered up? Who knows it? We'll ever get the answer.